Good morning, subscribers. This is the first video for Clean Slate Reentry Program. I wanted to do a video on identity theft in jails and prisons for returning citizens. I myself have been a victim of identity theft while incarcerated. After I got out of prison in 2011, I went to go open a bank account and I found out that I had $30,000 worth of debt ran up in my name. And what ended up happening, someone in the correctional system actually got my information and obviously sold it to someone that actually made accounts in 3 to 4 states. I'm a resident of South Carolina. I ended up with accounts in Georgia, New York, and Texas. So what I always tell my returning citizens and former offenders to actually do once they're released from incarceration, there are two things that they actually need to do. They need to go pull a check system report, and they also need to go and utilize the federal government's free credit report pool and get a copy of all three of their credit bureau reports from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion to make sure that nobody has compromised their information and have done to them what has been done to me before. Because a lot of times when individuals go to prison, the least things that they are actually worrying about is actually having identity fraud committed against them. And a lot of people, when they actually go, they actually do long stints of time. I actually did 22 months in the Department of Correction. So actually, it was a very short period of time. So the stuff did not get too far out of hand. But just imagine if you have a returning citizen or someone who's gone away for 5, 10, 20 years, or maybe even life. And so you have to stay on top of these things. And even while you're incarcerated, you may be able to get a family member or a loved one to actually check up on this stuff for you to make sure that you're not being victimized, where when you get out and you try and start your life over again, that you will actually run into major problems. I will give you a few tips quickly on how to go about getting your credit and your check system report straightened out if you actually run into this issue. What I had to do, I ended up having to go to the Department of Corrections, get a copy of my incarceration history to verify that I was incarcerated at that time. I had to submit this along with some other forms to check systems and all three credit bureaus. Check systems was pretty reasonable with helping to get the stuff off fairly quickly. I had a problem with a few of the credit bureaus. And if you actually run into a problem with some of the credit bureaus, what you will have to do, you would end up having to contact what is known as the comptroller of currency, which is over most of the financial institutions that are, you know, actually legal in the United States. And they actually have a process for identity fraud. And when you actually tell them that you're going to get the comptroller of currency involved from the federal government, many times that helps out with them expediting you getting your record clear. So what ends up happening is about 60 to 90 days after you start your disputes, your stuff should come back clear off of your record. Once again, those sites are check systems. You could do a Google search for that. And the site for all three major credit bureaus for the free federal pool is annualcreditreport.com. So these are just a couple of the things that you actually need to do immediately upon getting out, because I hate for you to run into a major problem like I did. $30,000 worth of debt was in my name walking out of the Department of Corrections in South Carolina. So be ye warned and be vigilant in doing what you're doing so that you can have a smooth and safe reentry. We will be sharing more content like this on a constant basis. So please stay tuned to Clean Slate TV and get schooled on what you need to learn. Thank you. Have a good morning.